Hey everyone, this is Pete. Welcome back to Atari A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari 8-bit games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today is one of the former, although I didn't play this that much when I was young, but I do remember playing it a couple of times. Today we're looking at a game called Scooter, which was released in 1985 by a company called Americana. And this was one of many games that Americana released that was programmed by a very prolific developer called Frank Cohen. Cohen's games had a very sort of consistent and distinctive look and feel about them, so he often used the same kind of interface elements about them. He often shared assets between games, so he uses a lot of the same sprites in a lot of his different games. And they kind of had mixed reception at the time, and still do to this day. So a couple of his projects were sort of notoriously unfinished, and some of them had some fairly idiosyncratic controls and mechanics and structures and that sort of thing. But Scooter, I think, is one of his more well-regarded ones, just because it doesn't try to get too ambitious. It doesn't try to do anything too clever. It's just a reasonably straightforward maze game, albeit one from a rather nice looking isometric perspective. I think it's oblique perspective technically. I'm not sure. We'll have to have a look when we play it. But yeah, so this is one of many games by Frank Cohen. I'm sure his name will crop up again on this series at some point. So without further ado, let's go play Scooter. Okay, here we are with Scooter by Frank Cohen. Copyright 1985 Fender, published by US Gold. Yeah, let's just head straight in and have a go at this. I say this is not a game I really know a ton about, but I remember playing it back in the day. And what it is basically, it's a sort of oblique perspective sort of take on Pac-Man. The concept, I believe, is that Scooter is working on a construction site, which is haunted, and he's investigating what's going on. I have no idea what it is that he's collecting. But he is collecting them, and grabbing these keys or whatever they are makes you invincible for a short period and allows you to destroy the enemies. And the enemies come out of those little double slashes on the floor. And the other thing you can do is that when you're over one of these vents, you can press the fire button to boing up in the air. And that's basically it on this first level. You just have to work your way around, collect everything. Avoid getting killed by the enemies. Score as many points as you can. What this game does do, though, which takes it a little bit beyond being just a simple Pac-Man clone, is that as you progress through the levels, you start getting different enemy types and different hazards, like we've got on this one. So in this one, we've got these things that are shooting stuff across that you have to time passing by carefully. You've got those lightning spewing enemies up there. And one thing I always thought was pretty cool about this game is how you can see the next level above you. So if you look above where Scooter is standing right now, what you can see up there, that is the next level. Whoops. So you can get a little preview of what to expect. Oh, God. Assuming you can make it through, of course. Which is apparently a more significant ask than I thought. Yeah, so controls in this are pretty straightforward. It's just left and right work as you might expect. And up and down move in and out of the background on the diagonal plane, because of the perspective. Alright, let's have another go at that. From the top. So this sprite you can see here, representing Scooter. I'm not sure if it's the exact same one, but it certainly bears more than a passing resemblance to the main character in Ghost Chaser. And possibly Ollie's Follies as well. I think those are all Frank Cohen games. Like I said in the intro, he sort of reused a lot of assets between his games. So they had quite a sort of consistent look and feel about them. Despite not featuring the same character. This is not the same character as it is in... oh dear. This is not the same character as it is in Ghost Chaser, to my knowledge anyway. It just looks the same. All of Cohen's games sort of have these characters that sort of moved around with this sort of urgency, like Scooter does here as well. This doesn't have the inertia of Beer Belly Bert's Brew Biz, though, which is one of Cohen's more notorious games in that it's not finished. It's not completely finished. So you can't actually... How? So yeah, you can't beat that game. I mean, it's a pretty substantial game in its own right, so you can get a lot of time and enjoyment out of it. You just can't actually finish it. There we are, that's timing it a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, you've just got to sort of be quite assertive with those things shooting across. And that's one bit where they... Oh, you can still die even when you're invincible. I guess you're not invincible if you can die, are you? Alright, let's try that again. Every day is a journey of discovery. One interesting thing about the level design in this, either interesting or awful depending on your perspective, is the fact that you have dead ends in it. Now, one particularly noteworthy thing about the design of the maze in Pac-Man is that there are no dead ends whatsoever. So the only way you can get trapped is by getting trapped between two enemies, which is a situation you can avoid if you're careful enough. In this one, you've got to kind of plan things out a bit more. Position yourself... Oh god. Somewhere that you can get away from the enemies quite easily. Don't come up here. Thank you very much. I don't think those enemies really have any AI about them. They just seem to sort of randomly pick a direction when they get to a junction. Which makes them unpredictable. But not invincible. There we are. Nicely done. Let's see if we can actually clear this second level. Right, where is the safe place you can stand? Now, you can stand pretty close to them. So it's just as long as the glowy balls of death don't actually touch you. You can get... Oh dear, that was too close. Right, let's do this one next. And you just sort of... Oh, done it again! You need to sort of charge through while the animation is playing for the other ones. So you wait for them to start and then you proceed through. Going one way rather than the other is a little more dangerous in that regard. Because they don't all... Oh, God! Because they don't all shoot at the same time. Oh, it's all going wrong. We're not doing too bad, though. Only a few more to go. As long as we... Oh, God. As long as we don't get caught by these things. I think we just got... Oh, damn it. Go away. No! That's it, you go down there. There we are, level 3. Don't think I've got this far before. That's interesting. What are these? Conveyor belts, I guess. Yep. So can you run back over them at all? You can, very slowly. We got new enemies again. So yeah, this is another way that it's sort of distinguishing itself from being a... Oh, and you can't defeat them either. Yes, that's another way that this is distinguishing itself from being a straight Pac-Man clone, is you're not you're not facing the same enemies all the time. It's not a case of the same but slightly faster or slightly more difficult each time. Each level is genuinely different. I believe there's 8 levels altogether. And one thing that some people kind of take the piss out of Frank Cohen's games for a little bit is the fact that they very often have extremely unsatisfying conclusions. And I believe this game falls into that category as well. I saw a comment on Atari Mania earlier when I was looking this up just to find out a few details and bits and pieces about it. And yeah, the commenter said that they beat it, but that there was nothing particularly special at the end. They didn't seem particularly upset about it or anything, because back in this era, it was very much more about the journey than the destination. It was about enjoying the game, enjoying the mechanics of the game, seeing the new things you could see as you progressed through it. And getting a feel for all these new enemies, and we've talked about how something as simple as a new colour scheme helped a new level feel exciting and fresh back in this age. And yeah, that's very much the case here. Each level having its own colour scheme gives it an even stronger sense of individuality than just the differences in design and layout. Alright, this is going quite nicely so far. Don't follow me. That's it, you go down there again. Wonderful! Level 3. I'm becoming a Scooter Pro. Right, so yeah, you have to be a little bit careful up there, because that dead end there, that's also a place where the enemies spawn from. So you need to be very careful there. And we need to remember that being in flashy enemy death mode does not mean you can defeat the enemies in this one. Exactly what it does mean in this level then is anyone's guess. It's actually handled the 3D quite nicely in that, so you can go behind those eagles or whatever they are. So it's not like some games where just if you collide with the sprite, regardless of what plane you're actually on, it's actually bothering to think about how far into the background you are when checking to see whether or not you're actually colliding with them. Oh, look at that, level 4. Right, this one, we've got those things that are going up and down that you can't walk past. I don't think can you get... No, you can't get stuck on them. So if one rises up while you're on it, you can walk off it, but you can't walk onto it while it's up. And there's no means of changing those earlier. It's not a case of pressing the fire button to change them or anything. They just change every couple of seconds. One of those cycles actually seems to be slightly faster than the other one. So it sort of goes down, up, down, up. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind while you're timing your passage. And you should always time your passage. Let me through. Thank you. Uh-oh. I did actually get caught on that one. Okay. So you can get caught on them. Alright, we've got to battle our way through these. Oh no, game over. Alright, let's have one more try at that. Because I've made like significant progress every time I've played so far. So prepare for this to be my worst attempt ever. Thought that was going to end badly for a minute. But no, we're all good. I really like the design of these enemies. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but I really like them. They're kind of creepy in a weird way. Whoops. Which makes sense, given that they're supposed to be ghosts. But yeah, there's something marginally unsettling about them. Okay, nearly there. And level 1 down. On to the next. So yeah, this is actually a pretty well designed game in terms of pacing and progression. So a couple of things are a little bit awkward, like the collision detection is just a little bit awkward in places. But it's one of those games where you sort of, if you learn the rules and the conditions of what it's doing, if you learn how it's calculating things like whether or not you take damage, then you can learn to work around those things. So it's fair. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's a fair game. All right, onward to our next challenge. Wait for that one to pass, and then... Oh no! Okay, sneak through here. Run! Lovely. And back through here. Just pause there. There we go. Slight sprite priority issues, but like I say, it is taking the 3D perspective into account, which is pretty cool. Alright, we'll leave that there for today. I enjoyed that. It's pretty decent. Like I say, I don't remember playing that a ton back in the day, but I do remember it being fun. And you know what? It is. Neat. I'm sure Frank Cohen will come up again at some point. But for now, that was Scooter by Frank Cohen in 1985. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.